Hello everyone, welcome to Decoding Downtowns, brought to you by Vistity. In this podcast, we dive deep with leaders from business improvement districts across the nation, revealing the strategies that are shaping the future of urban development and economic growth. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. It's Jamie Schwartzman with Decoding Downtowns, and today we're going to downtown Dallas. It's one of the great things we get to do on this podcast is go all over the country. Downtown Dallas is one of my favorite cities. Their district is right inside the Beltway, and we've been working with Downtown Dallas for a couple of years right now. They're just a great organization. I'll be welcoming Doug. He's the Director of Economic Development and Opportunity with Downtown Dallas, Inc. Doug, how are you today? Welcome.
I'm doing great, Jamie. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on the podcast. So tell us a little bit about Downtown Dallas. What's going on there right now?
Downtown Dallas proper is, if you look on a map, we're within our big freeway loop, about 1.4 square miles, 246 blocks, if you will. We're a smaller downtown on the resident side, only about 15,000 residents, but I've got over 33 million square feet of office space and 10,000 hotel rooms. It's a pretty active downtown. We have our convention center keeps us really busy with a lot of visitors. And also we have a ton of great parks that are constantly being activated and populated by folks in and around the city.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how you guys are structured and organized. So tell us a little bit about Downtown Dallas, Inc. and the other organizations.
Sure. So we're a standard public improvement district. Our money comes from an additional a tax assessment on the value of all commercial and residential structures in the downtown area. We are a 501c6. That's a little different. We also have a 501c3 model that does some of our more philanthropic work. On the number side, 25 or so office employees and about 80 to 90 field operations, depending on time of year.
Wow, it's a big organization.
One of the larger ones, yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about what's your role.
So I'm the Director of Economic Development and Opportunity. So kind of anything that touches the private side of downtown Dallas, I work with, whether it be a ground-up development, a conversion of an office structure to a multifamily structure, also the tenanting, recruiting and retaining office and retail tenants. I do a lot of the retail recruitment side, trying to get some of the cooler local mom and pops to plant roots here in downtown.
Are you working with brokers a lot?
Yes, we do. You have to. We're good brokers on both the retail, especially the office side. But on the retail side, we find it's advantageous to really build a relationship between the tenant and the landlord and create that partnership. If the landlord doesn't like where the retailer is going, it probably won't work. If the landlord takes an active interest in the retailer, they'll do more to work with them on a lease that will help them grow together.
Are you helping these guys in site selection and trying to find the best place to be?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, it's Jamie, it's with everybody, it's not always about vehicular or foot traffic. Sometimes it's more about parking. Sometimes it's more about the right type of traffic. Are you going to be concentrating on that hotel crowd or are you more of a residential or office kind of retailer?
So Doug, how did you get into this line of work?
Funny you should ask. I guess for over a decade, I produced the Parking Day event in downtown Dallas. And if you're unfamiliar, Parking Day is a global holiday, if you will, on the third Friday of every September. We take parallel parking spaces along a main street in downtown area, and we hood the meters, and we allow architecture firms, private residents, anyone who wants to try to convert that space into a little public park for the day. Downtown Dallas Inc. was always the money behind it, if you will, and did a lot of the legwork for me too, as far as the permitting goes. So I developed a relationship with the company, and after a few years, they wanted to bring me on permanently as a city planner and the economic development role. And also, I was in commercial real estate research for about 5 years. They wanted a more formal relationship with the commercial real estate world and also do their own in-house analytics.
And then how long you been in the role?
8 years, man. It flew by.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about economic development and how your organization plays a role in supporting that.
Well, it varies. Oftentimes a developer will come to us pre-project. We'll do an analysis of the project, make sure it's going to work in downtown. I work with a lot of hotel consultants, trying to find out if their particular flag has enough demand in the downtown area to be profitable. We also work with a lot of folks. I mentioned the conversions, and we look into right now. I don't have to tell you how difficult the financing of these projects is. So we work closely with them to ready their presentations to go before the city hall, that when they're asking for city financing, like financing, or in the case of federal financing, like historic tax credits. So we work very closely with these guys on the individual projects, mainly from a money perspective. Once they get the project in hand, then we really start talking about the planning of the project, how it will look 5-10 years out, how it's going to address the street. Will they need we're changing the use of a structure 9 times out of 10. So how will this, will we need a vehicular court? Will we need additional parking? Will there be lighting involved? Are we planting trees? So really how it's going to affect the public realm is what concerns us the most there.
And what are the scale of these projects? I know for some of the things that we've put into Vista, these are massive, neighborhood scale developments. Is that the bulk of it, or are there small and large?
On the conversion side, that's the bulk of it. We were really proud in the 60s and the 80s, and we built some giant buildings, average of about 1.2 million square feet. Most of our structures are 50 stories or more. So we're currently working on a project that's about 1.7 million square feet of just straight office space, 30,000 square foot floor plates, a really difficult thing to convert. But the bulk of them are larger. We do have a few smaller ones, but here, a smaller project, we're still talking about 300,000 or more square feet. So nothing's really that small.
So what are the challenges right now? What are the headwinds that you're feeling in Dallas?
Sure. The CBD zoning is fairly liberal. You can kind of get away with a ton down here, which is good for the developer. They don't have to ask for a lot. Some of the, lately we're looking at like traffic planning. How is a vehicular court or a valet going to affect traffic along our busy streets? So we're looking at, the additional intensity that a new use will bring and whether the city smiles or frowns upon it. Of course, financing is always a question. So everyone wants to flex the city's tax increment financing districts. Sometimes they want to extend that border over their structure, but the TIF money comes with strings attached. And we need to look into how this building will contribute to whatever it is, be it creating jobs or adding to the affordable housing market. Or I guess those are really the big two, pardon me. The biggest, I'd say that the biggest hurdle, after financing, it probably is the street piece, making sure that traffic flow will be maintained at a reasonable level while you're interrupting that with a valet court or a vehicular court of some sorts.
What are some of the things that are working pretty well right now that you think are, other people might want to hear about?
Sure. Dallas is we're a hidden gem on the convention circuit. So we're about the 5th busiest city convention-wise. So our hotels across the board, be it full service, luxury, boutique, all the way down to the medium or low service budget hotels, perform really, really well. They love a lot of the visitors that we call the friends and family coming to see the kids who relocated to Dallas. They love the fully amenitized hotel with the spa and the pool. The conventioneer, of course, if you're on that business budget, you also love the spa and the pool. But we've got we've got the Holiday Inn Express and the for the lower budget or tighter budget hotel purchase. So those projects tend to work out really well for us. The mix of use projects, one thing that's hotel and resident is kind of a no-brainer. I think those work well together. But the residential and office mix of uses, really surprising how well that works and the creativity that these developers show when putting those together. And also on the architecture side, really kind of separating those uses where it's necessary.
What's the state of the office market in Dallas right now?
It's like everywhere else across the country. It's tough. Now, keep in mind, my buildings are much larger than anywhere else in Dallas. I mentioned I average 1.2 million square feet. The rest of the market averages just around 330,000. So most buildings are about a third the size of mine. So my occupancy is only about 70%. That's still 100,000 square feet of a million square foot building ain't bad. That's a lot of people coming to work every day and paying rent, but it's still 30% of that building's vacant. So it's rough. Just like the rest of the market or rest of the nation, a lot of these offices are contracting. They're renewing, but at smaller footprints. Dallas, we are situated in North Texas on this great Blackland Prairie, which we always have a saying here. If you can't afford a house in Dallas, you can drive it till you qualify because we can build as far as you can see and then some. But it's also to our detriment because we've had these little pop-up downtowns, these old nodes of central business districts popping up here and there. So we're polycentric. It's created a lot of new competition. Most of the stock was built after 2000 and beyond. So these are brand new structures with brand new toll roads going to them. Downtown celebrates a lot of advantages. We have all the old infrastructure comes to us, are fantastic. The largest light rail network in the country comes into we have a hub and spoke system that hubs right here in downtown. All the major highways meet in downtown. But still, sometimes the allure of new and shiny is tough to pass up.
And you mentioned, too, that it's a relatively small residential base in the downtown area. Have you seen that growing?
Yeah, currently only 15,000. And I say only 15,000. A lot of our sister cities that we talk with at IDA and that are also your clients are visiting, they're well over 20, 30, 40,000. Of course, up in the Northeast, they're custom to 60. So we never built residential downtown. In fact, up until like the mid 90s, we only had one purpose-built residential tower in downtown and only 200 residents. So we grew fast. There is high demand for it. These things fill up very quickly once they deliver. And that's across the board, all the way from affordable housing. And in Dallas, we're talking there around, $1.25 a square foot, all the way up to $4 plus a square foot on the luxury side. And even our penthouses tend to go pretty quickly. Demand is pretty steady for that product, all types across the board. I see more coming. Currently under construction, we've only got a couple hundred units right now that are being built, but we've got 2,600 units worth of projects in the pipeline. And of that, I see turning dirt probably about 1,200 here in the next 2 years. So we should be hitting that magical 20,000 number, hopefully by 2030.
So let's talk about the data and data you're tracking. And what I'm interested in is what data do you find is the most relevant and important for investors, developers, and, major stakeholders are going to make a difference?
Sure. I love talking about my occupied square footage of office space, letting people know how active downtown is. You can say, they're 30% vacant all day long. But again, that means in a 1 million square foot building, 700,000 square feet of occupied and very active space for the day. I also love talking about my hotel market. Almost 3 million visitors per year coming to downtown specifically for conventions, friends and family, and whatnot. I also, Jamie, something that you guys help me with is helping the developer visualize what's downtown Dallas going to look like in the next 5 or 10 years. We have a new convention center that's about to go under construction as we speak, a $2 billion project that will really change alter the landscape here in downtown. Obviously the World Cup's coming to town, but how's it going to affect us? What are these new bits and pieces around being a residential, hotel, or even new office product? How's it going to change the streetscape? Starting next year, we have a new tree program. So the next time you come back down to downtown Dallas, Jamie, there'll be 500 new trees all on the sidewalks in various places along in downtown Dallas, significantly changing our footprint down here as well. So I really try to sell them what's coming, what's on the horizon. I do differentiate between developments that are most likely to turn dirt and those that might be a bit more pie in the sky, because I do like to sell a realistic story, if you will.
So talk to me a little bit about digital tools, dashboards. You guys do a lot of reporting. You have multiple websites. How do you see these kinds of things playing a role in your ability to do economic development in the future?
Sure, we have a variety of tools. Do you mind if I drop brand names here, or should I keep it general?
Of course. No, fine.
One of my first go-to, the base of all my commercial real estate data is through CoStar. And I also do my best to keep up with a lot of the tenant stacks myself. We really like to keep an eye on our office rents and how they're fluctuating. Also, of course, our sublet market. I think every city should be concerned with that sublet market to see how much is there and to know the terms of those leases, because today's sublet could be tomorrow's vacancy if you're not careful. Mm-hmm. I'd like to look at our residential. I'd love to say it simply takes care of itself because they do stay very, very well occupied. However, we have to keep tabs on them to see when they're going to go under the knife. A lot of these residential buildings will they're starting to get a little long in the tooth, and they'll go under renovations, which means I'm going to be losing anywhere from 1 to 8 floors in a building as they renovate floor by floor, which will affect my numbers. I use we have our own in-house database. We one of our IDA partners, District 360s, has done a fantastic job of letting us bring so many of these numbers in-house. We use that to track everything, or to keep track of everything from, like I said, the metrics of how many rental units are being built, how many purchase units are being built, the occupancy of all of our buildings, office and residential, our hotel stacks, what's on the development horizon, and also to really paint a picture of what's to come. I can look and see how many units are what's under construction, and also what's in the planning pipeline, and also what's permitted just at the touch of a button. And that's been fantastic. That's a great way to tell that story, and also to get people their data and to snap up a finger as opposed to waiting a couple of days for it. Y'all's tool, Visiting, real quick, has done a great job of helping us visualize that. It's one thing for me to sit here and talk about it. It's another thing for me to actually show these photos. Exactly. And my artist renderings are great, and they look really cool when I throw out a monitor. When I put them in their place and show how they relate to everything else in the city, like the arts district behind you, how close your new structure will be to the Opera Hall or the Performance Center or the art school, or the culinary school, or whatever it is the farmer's market, whatever it is you've decided where you bought your property. Fantastic tool and really helps the developer the picture. I've got one more thing I got to tell you about that we track.
Sure.
I mentioned the parks. We bring a lot of people down here with our parks programming and also our park rentals. And that's been really key for us. Dallas has worked really hard to build and deliver recently 5 brand new signature parks to downtown Dallas. And I feel like if you're going to have a neighborhood, you've got to have parks. And they do a great job, not just for the simple stuff like getting out about and dog relief, but also for the office population to go out and eat lunch or enjoy nature for a while. And we track that. We track the visitation of those on a monthly basis to see how many people they're bringing downtown and from where through our friends at Placer AI.
Do you guys, do the programming and event productions at those parks, or is that all sort of subbed out to other producers?
No, we do that in-house. I always say that if a pit's doing its job, it won't exist in 5 years, or it won't exist in the future. If you bring enough interest into your downtown, it'll sort of take care of itself. We lost a lot of our independent parks programming with COVID. So the concerts that were being produced in downtown, the barbecue festivals, those all kind of went away and they didn't come back. We had smaller parks activations in-house for a long time. We're doing movie nights and we had a downtown stroll, a trick-or-treat in downtown streets, wine walks. We do a Christmas walk. It's a stocking stroll is what we call it. And in a handful of pop-up markets. Since the concerts and barbecue festivals and the beer festivals left, we've really had to take the larger festivals into our hands as well. So now we're producing large-scale markets during key weekends throughout the year, putting on concerts at Main Street Garden. We have a Oktoberfest called Munich Street Garden that we all enjoy. So, and that's really done a great job of promoting the parks. And now we've added more staff to really help go out and sell those parks. So hopefully we'll see the concerts and barbecue festivals return.
Cool. So let's look ahead to the next one short year.
Okay.
What's on the table right now? What's in process? What do we need to get done in the next 1 year?
Sure. In the next 1 year, I'll have, I'm going to go ahead and boast that I'll have about another 500 apartment units under construction, literally turning dirt, hopefully. Also, currently we just chose an architecture firm for that big convention center project I mentioned. And hopefully within the next calendar 12 months, that will be under construction, definitely a controlled demolition. We will never be without a convention center. It'll be demolished in phases. So there'll always be activities in it, but it will be next to some construction. I see that happening in the next 1 year. Also, you're going to see a lot more preparation for World Cup get started. And what that looks like, I don't know. We'll probably be busy painting crosswalks, adding street lighting. Also, that very special wayfinding signage. You've got to think these are folks coming in from all corners of the world. They're not necessarily going to speak or read English. So we have to be really careful with how we identify things like parking lots and restaurant food courts and directions to the soccer venues and buses and whatnot.
Let's play make-believe for a moment. Let's pretend that we've met at magic school. You've been handed a magic wand.
Yes.
Use your magic wand, cast a spell to promote the vitality of downtown Dallas. Doug Prude, how would you use your magic wand?
This, fun question. A few ways. I think whenever I travel around and I tell people that I work for downtown Dallas, or I'm from Dallas, 9 out of 10 times they mention that old TV show, Dallas with J.R. Ewing. I really wish we had a new TV show beyond that, or Walker, Texas Ranger. I think we do a great deal of business with sports, and not just professional sports. We've got a great relationship with the Mavericks and the Stars that play just to the north of us. We have the new Dallas women's soccer team, the Dallas Trinity, that's already started their season over in Fair Park at the Cotton Bowl. But youth sports are a big draw for us. And if I could wave a magic wand, I would like to have more youth sports, under 18, high school, college, whatever it might be, in downtown Dallas. We've got a great annual volleyball tournament here. We have 2 annual cheerleading competitions that come to downtown. And they really do pack it. And that really does bring a variety of folks down here that we don't get any other time of the year. You have family, of course, you got the kids, of course, but you got the family, mom and dad, a lot of times grandma and grandpa, brothers and sisters who roll their eyes because they got to watch their big sister play volleyball for 4 hours, wherever it might be. But it really does bring an energy into downtown. I'd like to have more experiential amenities. And by that, we're talking like bowling alleys, be a go-kart track, miniature golf. I don't care what you call it. Just more places for people to go after they get done with their eating. a nice movie theater, whatever it might be. I would like to see more of that downtown.
So before we wrap up, how do we keep our eyes on what's going on in downtown Dallas? What are your websites? What are your socials? What's your LinkedIn?
Sure. Well, you can always check us out on any social media outlet at downtown Dallas. Definitely, you're welcome to friend me up on LinkedIn anytime if you care. But also, Downtown Dallas Inc. does maintain a fantastic LinkedIn page. DowntownDallas.com is our primary website. I ask that you go to the business tab and check out my interactive development map. There's several tabs on it. You can find everything from your nearest local brewery to also what developments are taking place or what's right in the pipeline in downtown Dallas. And then we have an eco dev website called Downtown Dallas Now. And you can get those real granular statistics on office population, what colleges are in the area, and housing. And also, that's where we host our visiting tour. So you can come check us out there. We're really proud of it. Jamie, we just redid the photography on it. You can see in the background there, on your background, it looks fantastic. You guys always manage to capture downtown Dallas on its absolute best day. And it's beautiful. And I think it really shows the concentration of activity in downtown Dallas and all the stuff that we have going on.
Well, thanks, Doug. It's great to have you here. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it.
Great. And to our listeners, thanks again for tuning in for another episode of Decoding Downtowns. I'd like to also put a shout out to Vistity, to them for sponsoring the podcast and making it all possible. And until we meet up again, keep exploring and innovating in your district.
Thank you for joining us today for Decoding Downtowns. If you've enjoyed our podcast, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's brought to you by Vistity, the leading geospatial visualization platform for data-driven decisions. Stay connected, stay informed, and let's continue to shape the future of our cities together. Until next time, I'm Jamie Schwartzman.